Thank you so much. Eugene, delightful to see you. Siobhan, pleasure. Glad that you're here. Alone, as always. It is amazing to see you here. We're going to get kicked off here in just a few minutes. I'm muting myself on YouTube because I'm hearing my voice in more than one place. So, yeah, Alexei, are there others that you see on the list that we want to give a shout out to as I click all the buttons in the background?
Yeah, I'm happy to see a lot of familiar names. Hi, Ellen. Hi again. Nice to see you. Hi, Ellen. Another Ellen. Nice to see you again. And thank you for your interesting product that I checked just yesterday. Hi, Britt, Eugene, Elias, John, Rodrigo, Sean, Todd, Werner. So you can watch us on Zoom. You can watch us on YouTube streaming. YouTube will have like 3 seconds delay. So if you don't want these 3 seconds of waste of time, join Zoom. It is better. But you can ask questions on Zoom, on YouTube, and we will be happy to answer. If your friends are still wanting to join, just send them a link to YouTube so they will have a chance to watch. And we will start in about 2 minutes.
And as always, whatever platform you're watching on, if you have questions, feel free to type them up, drop them in chat on YouTube, drop them in chat here on Zoom, put them in the Q&A widget if you so choose. We'll do our best to answer as many of them as we can at the end, as well as those that we can't. We try to hunt you down and get you the answers. Continuing to see people roll in, amazing. Thank you immensely for joining us. We do also always sort of live tweet this as well, and I was thinking about of esoteric leap year based joke, and I figured the best that I can come up with is that this is the special release because it can only happen once every 4 years. And no one else seems to find that as humorous as I do, but I think it's interesting and compelling. Well, amazing, Alexei. We're live in all the spaces, so I know we have quite a bit to cover today. So thank you everyone for joining. For those of you who've just dropped in, please feel free to ask questions, to raise them on your platform of choice. And with that, I'll hand it off to Alexei to talk through the special 24.2 release.
Thank you. Interesting. What is special? It is just another release, 24.2. So what do we have today? I will use almost all the time covering new features. And today we also have lightning talks and Q&A session. So let's not waste time. Let's start. What it is? It is just a winter release, or maybe it is kind of special because of this leap day, but I have no particular jokes about leap day. But definitely this release should be magical. Miracles should happen. It should be a lucky release that you will be able to install today. So we have 18 new features, 18 performance optimizations, and almost 50 bug fixes, maybe 50 bug fixes, maybe plus one will be merged today. Let's start with some small and nice features. And the first feature is a new aggregate function, group array intersect. If you are experienced ClickHouse user, you know that there is already a function array intersect. And it does something pretty simple, takes 2 or more arrays and just intersect all the elements, comparing them in every array. But now we also have this aggregate function. And it works pretty obvious. It takes arbitrary number of arrays, just intersect all of them So nothing special, pretty simple. What do you think? Why do we need this function? Or maybe I will ask it a different way. Why do I need this function? Why do we have it in ClickHouse since version 24.2? Mark, maybe you have some hypothesis.
Why do you need to intersect arrays? No, I don't know. Oh, no. Maybe you were you collecting all the versions and the downloads or something and trying to compare between them or something like this?
It is a really nice hypothesis, but I'm sad that it is not the correct answer. But it will be really nice to have. Maybe you will include it in one of your videos.
Oh, yeah, I have to do that now.
Okay, what I'm going to do with this function is actually build a search system with ClickHouse, like a second Google or better version of Google. And trust me, I know how to do it, and I can do it. Let me at least try to do it live in about 5 minutes. So I have ClickHouse server running on some instance, and I have a data set. And the data set is, let me check, it's about comments on a social network. It's about 37 million comments, and the table has columns like text and ID. Let me check. Sometimes the text is empty, but sometimes it contains something dude, and I don't know what this word is, or whatever garbage we can find on the internet. Whatever. So it's pretty nice data set. Stay tuned. I am tuned. Okay. And I want to create a search index from this data set. So let me create a table, name it Hacker News _ tokens. And it contains a pairs of token from every comment and identifier. Let's do it. Oops, the table already exists because I have prepared for this webinar, so I don't have to create it again. And also, I can insert the data into this table, calculating all the tokens from the comments. I will do it like this. I will take the text column. I will decode HTML. This is needed because I have these special sequences. So I will decode this with another function. I will convert to lowercase, and I will extract tokens. By the way, the data is already inserted, but let's preview this data just in case. Oh, nice, I have tokens. It works. So the data is already inserted. By the way, how big is the total number of tokens? 2.11 billion. Maybe I should have repeat the insert query live. By the way, Mark, what do you think? How long the insert will take if we will repeat it?
You'll repeat it. I got distracted because you've accidentally showed the other feature of doing the nice display of billion.
Ah, it's another feature.
I know, you've done another feature 2 slides too early.
Yeah, I did not have to spoil it. But okay, what do you think? If we will calculate tokens, and
The second time, I don't know, I'm useless at predicting times, I don't know.
No. It is easy. Guess about some number, divide by 2, and give it to me.
I don't know, 5.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
Actually, it was 30 seconds. But okay, the data
See,
is...
look, you should, yeah, see, now I've given a bad answer.
Oh, don't worry.
30
Your
seconds.
answer is actually the answer we should aim for.
All right, oh yeah, that's a good way of
So,
putting it.
yeah, it will be 5 seconds in the next version. Okay, so now we have this table with tokens, and we can do some interesting stuff. For example, let's extract array of comments containing tokens ClickHouse or PostgreSQL or MySQL. And here we go. 3 arrays for different database technologies. And you can guess which array is larger, for MySQL, for ClickHouse, or for Postgres. I will not tell you the answer because it will be probably not satisfying. But now I will do, finally, I will use this aggregate function group array intersect. And it allows me to just do the intersection of, I would say, posting lists, or just lists of identifiers. I will get every comment containing ClickHouse and Postgres and MySQL. Actually, I can do it easier, but this query is still nice. And we have this list. And now, finally, let me combine it. First, I will use the array join function to flatten this array, to transform it to records. And finally, I will use select from the original table with subquery, filtering by a subquery. And here we go. Interesting. DBNet is a web-based SQL IDE. I did not hear about it before. I have some. ClickHouse is surprisingly easy to deploy and set up. What a nice feature we have built. Okay, so now you know why do we need this group array intersect. Let's continue. Now, this feature is pretty easy to explain. Negative positional arguments for specification of order by or group by. You already know that in SQL, you can write order by a column, descending, ascending, whatever. Or you can write order by a number, the position of a column, like order by 1 or 2. But now in ClickHouse, you can also write order by -1. What does it mean? It means get the last column. Or if it will be -2, it would mean the second column from the end. It's pretty nice feature, but I'm not sure if you will need it, because you can write it like this, just write explicitly the expression, or you can set up an alias, a name for this expression, and just reference it as is. I'm not sure if this is better, but now we have it. And you might find it useful. Okay, another feature. This is what I already shown, but I want to iterate again on it. So, we have made our pretty formats even prettier. In the previous version, when you select some big number, like the number of records from your table, it will give you the answer, but you will spend some time trying to count these billions or even trillions of records. Because in ClickHouse, you can have a lot of records in your table. Now it will write a comment right next to this number. It will even format this comment nicely. So it is pretty simple feature, easy to implement. It is nice. And thanks, Roger YK, for implementing this. Okay, yet another feature. How many smaller size features do we have? I'm wondering. Okay. The table function merge now can accept a single argument. So what is a table function merge? First of all, in ClickHouse, you can use table functions in section from. And there are a lot of different table functions like MySQL, Postgres for querying external databases. And there is this table function merge. What it does? It allows you to find all the tables in a database with names matching a particular regular expression. And it will select from all of these tables, like literally merge them. You can use an expression for the database like current database. But since version 24.2, you can specify just a single parameter and it will assume the current database. Again, small usability improvement, but this small improvement makes a lot of difference. Okay, this will be more useful and like more important. It is about backups. Now ClickHouse has first-class support for backups to Azure Blob Storage, I mean Microsoft Azure. If you use ClickHouse in Azure, you will find it natural to do backups into Azure Blob Storage. But maybe you are using ClickHouse on AWS, but for some reason you want to do backups to Azure. It is still possible. Just write it like this: backup table to Azure Blob Storage, and this boring specification and the name of your container and backup. And then restore works similarly. Why do we need this feature? Why did we decide to make it? Because we are preparing the offering of our ClickHouse Cloud service on Azure. And you can join the waitlist today to be the first in the private preview. Okay, another feature. Inline configuration of the template format. So in ClickHouse, you can write select query and specify any possible format: JSON, CSV, TSV, Avro, Arrow, Parquet, Protobuf. I can name more, and the list will be very long. But one format stands out. It is the template format. It allows you to output your data using whatever template you want. And in previous versions, you had to write the template into a file in the file system and then reference this file. In the new version, you just specify this template inline as a setting. And you can even output HTML from ClickHouse. So you can name it ClickHouse server pages. Probably you don't remember this kind of stuff like Java server pages, whatever. Now you have ClickHouse server pages. Okay, yet another feature, system.dns cache. I will not explain what it is, I will show it. Okay, let me copy paste some query. System.dns cache. First of all, I don't have to explain it because we have inline documentation for every system table. And you can access this inline documentation as a comment for your table. like this. So it says that the system DNS cache table contains information about cached DNS records. Now let's use it. Okay, it works. So it contains every address for every host that we used during the server runtime. And this information is updated every 5 seconds by default. And you can see that the S3 endpoint contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different IP addresses. Okay. Nothing special, but it is nice to have for introspection. Wow, yet another feature. A new compression level for LZ4 codec. So in ClickHouse, you can specify different codecs for your columns like LZ4, ZSTD, LZ4HC. You can specify different levels. And what is new is just level 2 for the codec LZ4HC. Sounds just a tiny little thing. Let me demonstrate it, because I want to show. It does not sound compelling, but I will show you. Okay. Let me create some file with the data that I will compress for experiment. Okay, the file already exists. Let me create it again. Okay, it is fast. 1 million records in 64 milliseconds. Nice. Now I will quickly check its size. 107 megabytes. And I will do the following. I will compress this file with every different codec with different levels. LZ4, LZ4HC, 1, 2, 3, 4, and ZSTD. LZ4 is fast, just 100 milliseconds. LZ4HC level 1 is a bit slower. Level 3 is much slower, and level 4 is like 10 times slower. ZSTD is 2 times slower than LZ4, but still quite fast. Okay, let's compare the sizes. LZ4 20 megabytes, LZ4HC 18 megabytes with level 1 and level 2, level 3 15, level 4 14, and ZSTD is the best, just 12 megabytes. So what is new? This level 2 is new. And by the way, level 1, it is actually the same as level 2. In the previous version, it was the same as the minimum level 3, and now the minimum level is 2. What is the difference? The difference is here. 3.5 times faster and slightly worse in the compression level. But the question is, why don't use ZSTD everywhere? Because it is just 200 milliseconds and it is the best for compression level. And to give you the answer, I will do the following. I will decompress each of them. So decompression was fast. I did not even notice. But let's take a look at these milliseconds. LZ4 38 milliseconds, LZ4HC 1 and 2 50 milliseconds. So quite slightly slower. LZ4HC level 4 is actually even faster. And ZSTD is slower. So LZ4HC is as fast in decompression as LZ4. It is faster than ZSTD for decompression, but slower for compression. Sorry, probably I am confusing you a bit. Mark, do you follow?
Do I follow it? Yeah, I mean, vaguely. I'm not an expert in decompression, but yeah, I mean, I've played with it a little bit. I can kind of roughly understand what you're talking about.
Okay, I hope I contaminated you or whatever, and now you are an expert in compression. But I hope you will be. But actually, you already is. Okay. What is next? Performance improvements. What do we have? And the first improvement is for memory usage. An optimization for memory usage for primary key. You know that in ClickHouse, the primary key is always loaded in memory. Typically, the primary key is sparse. It does not occupy a lot of space. But sometimes you use ClickHouse with a huge data set on a shared storage. And every replica has to look at this data set and be aware of its primary key. And it can take a lot of memory. Look at this picture. So the primary key in memory allocated 180 gigabytes. It is a lot. Hopefully, we had more memory in our server, but 180 gigabytes is still a lot, and we don't want to waste it. So we have made the first optimization and released it in our production. It just removed unnecessarily extraneous memory allocation. I will not dig into much detail, but it has lowered from 180 gigabytes to 130. 50 gigabytes of memory for free. Then we were concerned that the memory usage is slowly growing, and it will grow through all the space that we will have for this data set with petabytes of data. So we have made a second optimization and released it just a few days ago. This optimization is for lazy loading of primary key for data parts. If a subset of tables are not used, the primary key will not be loaded. If a table is queried, but not all the partitions are being accessed, the primary key for like old partitions, irrelevant partitions will not be loaded. So after this optimization, we have memory usage about 80 gigabytes. So it was 180, and if you continue this trend, it would be 200 gigabytes, now just 80. It's pretty substantial. Okay, another optimization about the usage of AVX512 and also automatic vectorization of distances and dot products. You might find it interesting that this is for dealing with vectors and calculating vector distances. And we use vectorized instructions to calculate vector distances. So what it gives? What does it give? We have tested it on 600 dimensional vectors, and the improvement was 1.5 times 56% improvement. And this was actually on a server with slow DDR4 memory. It was bounded by memory. On modern servers with DDR5, the improvements will be even more. And actually, the best improvement will be on your MacBook or on your Mac Studio, because it has high bandwidth memory. Yet another optimization about the parallelism for buffer tables. So in ClickHouse, you can create a buffer table if you want to combine inserts in memory before inserting into the target table to lower the frequency of data flushing. And there are a lot of configuration parameters like the level of parallelism, and we already used to have this configuration parameter, nothing special, and some thresholds by the number of bytes, records, and time. And this number of layers parameter controls the parallelism of how the buffer table will be able to accept the data. It will be able to write into multiple buffers in parallel. But there was a problem. The moving of data from the buffers to the target table was sequential, not parallelized. Now it is parallelized, and we achieved more than 20 gigabytes of second of compressed data inserted continuously to a cluster. It is quite impressive. Okay, yet another optimization for int8 data type. I will tell you that we already had this optimization for uint8 data type. We already had this optimization for every data type except int8. And the reason is some strange rules of the C++ programming language that are used by the compiler. It's about strict aliasing. It is difficult to enable strict aliasing for int8 and uint8. Any C++ experts in the room, if you know what I'm talking about, please write some comments in Zoom or YouTube, and maybe you will have a chance to win this t-shirt. Okay, so what the difference is? It is twice. Now the queries, some queries, at least some like simple queries are 2 times faster, and it is nice. Okay, we have even more optimizations. We optimized the memory usage for ClickHouse Keeper, like 30%. We optimized as of join. And the function if conditional was also optimized in one particular case when the branches containing values of a map type. But in this particular case, the difference is 10 times. Okay, let's take a look at something interesting, because it was all about small features, all about just a bit like nitpicky optimizations. I want something real. What do we have? And this is about security features. Boring security features that we have to do. Encapsulation of access controls in views. So let's take a look. How do access control work for views? When you have a table, you have a view selecting from this table, and you select from a view. Which permissions do you need to select from this view? And in the previous ClickHouse version, and by default, you need permissions for both this view and all permissions that are required to run this select query, including permissions to read from this table 1 and these particular columns from the table 1. And it is nice, it is secure, because we are checking more, and checking more is better than checking less. But there is a question: how to use views and give access only to the view without giving access to the table. So imagine you want to use this view to provide access to a subset of a table without providing access to the whole table. Okay. So welcome the new feature, SQL security and definer specifications in create view queries. This is applicable for ordinary view and materialized views, including refreshable materialized views. How does it work? Here is the syntax. You just specify the type of security, one of 3 items, definer, invoker, or none. And for definer, you specify the specific user as a definer. It works this way. If the SQL security is set to invoker, when querying a view, the access control for the underlying select query will be checked for the user querying the view, like it was before. If it is set to definer, you can define any user, including current user, to encapsulate and abstract this access control. Another user will be able to select from a view, and when using the internal query, it will use the access control for this definer. Let me provide one example. So let's suppose you want to give access to the view that selects from a table with some subset of data. And you create this view with definer as your user, like Alice. You specify SQL security definer. Then you give access to another user, and another user will happily be able to select from this view. Actually, it is pretty simple, but I have to explain in every detail because, you know, it is a boring security feature. Okay, something more interesting. Automatic detection of formats. It is easy to explain. Let's imagine you have a file, it is named somehow, and you don't know what the format it is. It can be JSON, CSV, TSV, and this file does not tell you anything. It does not have a proper extension, whatever. But in the version 24.2, you can still query it, and ClickHouse will automatically detect almost every data format. CSV, TSV, JSON, values, and probably something else. The bottom line is, it works. It works with another format, and it works with yet another format. It is pretty nice. And another nice feature is about asynchronous inserts, and specifically adaptive mode for asynchronous inserts. How does it work? So you can enable this setting, async insert equals to true, and it will automatically combine inserts from multiple concurrent clients by making some delay for these inserts. So the server will receive insert from a single client, wait like 50 milliseconds to have a chance to combine it with another insert. You can enable it by default, but before the new version 24.2, you always had to pay this delay up to 200 milliseconds by default. In the new version, it is adjusted automatically. So when you have frequent inserts, they will be delayed just a bit and combined together. But if you have infrequent inserts, they will not be delayed. They will be instant. And the outcome is you can just enable this async insert setting, and it will be good by default. You don't have to worry about any delays. You can do frequent inserts as many as you want. Okay, now about integrations. And the most interesting stuff is in our lightning talk. We have a guest today. So welcome, Mike from Rill Data.
Hi, Alexei. Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, welcome.
So I think I'll take it away. My first question before I get started is, I guess I wanted to ask, who took all those amazing photos for your winter release? Is that what ski resort or location were all those great photos taken at?
I will tell you a secret. Actually, this time it was not me. These are not mine. It was not my vacation. But next time, I promise, it will be from my vacation. Okay, let's start.
It'll be yours. Well, I'm excited to be here and talk a little bit about Rill's connector for ClickHouse. We launched this, just announced this a couple of days ago, and I'm going to give a live demo of what you can do when you unleash the power of ClickHouse's incredibly fast, high-performance engine against a BI tool that really was designed to take advantage of that kind of speed and performance. So we'll get right into it. If you want to read more about this connector, there's a blog post link there at the bottom. As Alexei may have mentioned, I am the co-founder here at Rill Data, and as with all things, this is a team effort. So shout out to my talented colleagues who helped make this connector a reality. First, what is Rill? Rill is a BI tool, and what makes us different? Really kind of four pillars that we think differentiates us from other tools on the market. Probably first and most relevant for this discussion, we really focus on faster dashboards. So Rill is built for fast engines like ClickHouse. Queries return instantly. We've really optimized the application to do things that most BI tools wouldn't consider doing when they can't make those assumptions of performance and low latency. Second, we've embraced a BI as code philosophy, so you can develop with Rill's IDE locally, which I'll show in a second here, and then you can deploy on the cloud globally, but you can get all the benefits of Git workflows. Third, we really embrace SQL. So a lot of other BI tools have specialty languages, ways of defining metrics that may include Jenga templates or their own proprietary languages. We're, like ClickHouse, a huge fan of SQL, and we allow you to do last mile ETL with SQL in Rill's IDE. And then finally, we have a metrics first philosophy. So with Rill, we want developers to focus on designing metrics, things like revenue as the sum of price, and we actually auto-generate visualizations based on those metrics. So dashboard developers are really focused on building metrics, and Rill focuses on building
the dashboards based on those metrics. Okay, so why ClickHouse plus Rill? Well, the background, if anyone is on Twitter and follows some of the tweets that we put out, we met Alexei in Amsterdam. We were at a conference a couple of weeks ago at FOSDEM, and we were inspired by a convincing, the convincing creator of this engine, ClickHouse, to build a connector for Rill to ClickHouse. And why we feel ClickHouse is a great engine for Rill is because fast databases really deserve fast BI. Candidly, I think a lot of the BI tools out there, unfortunately, have to cater to the lowest common denominator of performance. And so they have to make a lot of trade-offs. Rill doesn't take those trade-offs. And so we're able to do things like, very high concurrency query loads, high interactivity, because we know something like ClickHouse can handle that level of performance and load. So we really focus on letting people get from a data set to a working dashboard as quickly as possible, and then allow users to explore that data as quickly as possible. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about just an example data set. So this is what you could do if you want to install Rill. I'll actually get into the demo and show how you can build a dashboard that looks at the logs from any GitHub repo that you have access to. So we're going to build a dashboard that allows us to provide some observability and insight into GitHub commit activity. Of course, we'll pick our favorite repo for this audience, which is the ClickHouse GitHub repo. And let's dig in, and I'll walk through the steps that we can get that dashboard live. So this is going to assume that you've already got a ClickHouse local server running. I've installed that and run it. We then run a command here from the repo that I linked in the slide I just showed. We're actually going to do a data import into ClickHouse of all of the commit logs over the history of that repo. In the case of ClickHouse, there's quite a bit of logs there. We'll take a look. And then once we've imported all that data into ClickHouse, we're actually going to start Rill, fire up Rill on the browser. And so there's just a command here where we actually are going to pass a flag to Rill start, where we specify the driver as ClickHouse. And here I'm running ClickHouse local. So my DB string here is pretty simple. And then that's going to fire up Rill. So let's actually, let's do that. This is what we're going to see when we fire up Rill in our localhost browser. We're going to actually get all of the tables that are running in your ClickHouse cluster, your ClickHouse local, are going to be displayed here in Rill. You've got just a set of tables. And here we just get essentially these commit logs. You can look and see, again, there's quite a bit of commit logs here. And first and foremost, the thing that most people do when they use Rill, after they brought in some data, they probably inspect it. We can see here there's different, different column fields here. But the first thing most people do is we actually just click here, and we're going to say generate dashboard with AI. So we've started with just a ClickHouse table, and one click, Rill's tool is actually going to examine the table schema. We're going to take a look at those different field types, and using a connection with OpenAI, which is not rocket science, we're actually going to build a dashboard that shows a set of suggested metrics for this data set. So quite remarkably, we've actually built this dashboard instantly. This required no effort on the part of me other than just connecting to a ClickHouse cluster. You can see we're looking at not a huge data set, about 500,000 rows. And this is, again, all suggested aggregate measures and dimensions that were pulled in from that table here. Now, that's the first step. What typically users will do is they will go in, once they've BI as code, of course, that's what makes us great in working with something like an LLM. we were able to auto-generate this set of dimensions and measures. But I now will switch and just quickly show, after you've done a little bit of editing of these measures and dimensions, you can generate a more traditional GitHub Analytics dashboard. So I'll show for a second what that looks like, and hopefully have some time to return to our hosts here for the ClickHouse release seminar. So this is a dashboard just showing an analysis of all of the commits in the history of the ClickHouse project. What's great about Rill, again, is you've got these. I didn't actually design this dashboard. It was, I designed the metrics behind this dashboard and the dimensions. I can zoom in on any area. We can look at 2020 to date. There seems to be a lot of activity there. One of the obvious insights that comes up here is that there's Alexei, who's the #1 author of these commits. We can zoom in and do some interesting things and take a look at if there's a particular, if there's a particular file name that's getting a lot of activity. And so this is kind of interesting. We can see what are the top file names that are getting worked on. No surprise, merge tree is one of those most active file names. We've got some others here as well. So we can kind of go in and say, okay, who's the top author on that merge tree data code path? And it looks like, well, Alexei, I'm sorry, you're actually not the top contributor there, shockingly. One of your colleagues, a couple of your other colleagues are working on that pretty actively. And so this is just an example of some of the insights you can get, with just a few clicks. Typically, when you want to do this sort of analysis, it'd be writing a lot of SQL, or you may have to build, a lot of custom dashboards. But Rill really gets you a lot of this insight automatically. The last thing I'll show is what we're pretty excited to have shipped recently is a pivot table for Rill. So if I go here and click, if we're want to take a look at pivot data, again, we can look at the number of commits. Okay, that's pretty simple, but let's see if we can find the author here. Again, no surprise, Alexei, you're at the top. But we can actually start to add additional rows here, like the first directory, the second directory, and the third directory, and I guess the file name. And we can start to get some pretty interesting pivots here. And I just kind of instantly built a pivot table showing for the top authors of ClickHouse. What are some of the top areas of the code base that they're working on? Again, merge tree CPP. And we can see what types of change types are being made here. So this is all built very quickly. Not a lot of effort to get kind of these insights. And again, what really I think we showcase here is the speed and the interactivity of the engine. You couldn't create this type of interactive experience with other tools because, frankly, many of these interactions would take seconds to come back. So I'll end there. If you were an actual user of Rill, you could deploy it to your cloud. And this is what you would see when you get that deployed on your cloud. You would be able to explore it and share it with colleagues, etc. So I'll stop and say thank you all for having me. If you wanted to take a look and try this yourself, you can check out our GitHub repo that uses the ClickHouse connector to provide insight into any GitHub repo out there. So thanks very much.
Thank you. It looks really nice. Maybe I will start using it today because I want to use this tool. Just one question. What about sharing and access control for dashboards, charts, whatever?
Yes, so Rill Cloud implements access controls for sharing, and you can do that via role-based or attribute-based access controls. The key is every user in Rill Cloud has a set of context attributes. So you could actually create one dashboard and then filter it for 100 different partners. So you could have one ClickHouse table, maybe with all of your customers' data in it, but then you could kind of create 100 different partner dashboards without having to build 100 dashboards. You would essentially just create a security access policy and create that filter.
Okay. Okay, what else do we have for integrations? First about our plugin for Grafana. Grafana plugin has version 4 released. So what it is? And according to the authors, it is a new philosophy to user interaction, where logs and traces are first-class citizens in a new query builder experience. Okay, sounds nice. What else? Updates for Power BI and Metabase. Mike, what do you think about Power BI and Metabase? Just a small question.
I think they're inspiring tools, and if they only were built when engines like ClickHouse were around, they might be more interactive than they are today.
Yeah, this is a nice answer. Very polite. I also like these tools. They are powerful. They can do a lot. Okay, and what about Grafana v4? How does it look? It looks like here. Here you can see logs, traces, again traces, metrics, everything. Now it works, integrates perfectly with ClickHouse. Okay, what else? If you want to read more, you can find a lot of interesting stuff in our blog and in our YouTube channel. For example, what about hybrid query execution? When you have local machine, you want to use the power of local machine for local files and the power of remote servers or even the cloud in a single query. Or how to build a CDC for ClickHouse. I hope you know what is CDC. It is not something about disease control, no. It is, but if you want to know, read this article. And about Grafana plugin, it is also worth reading, especially if you use this tool in your daily work. Okay, now we have about 3 minutes for your questions. Mark, what questions do we have?
We got some. We got a question right from the beginning that you went too fast, so I didn't manage to ask you. But for the pretty format, I had a question, which is, does it only work if you do count, or if you put like a big number in some other way? Does it apply there?
Let me check. The best way is to do an experiment and to figure it out. So we will select a big number. Here it is.
Okay, and then the second question is, what happens if you do 2 columns of big numbers?
Again, let's do this experiment. And we will select 2 different numbers just in case.
Yeah.
And it will not.
And then it doesn't do it. Okay, so it has to be only 1. And how big does it come on? Like, what happens if you did like 1 million? Would it be there?
Again, it is pretty easy to check.
Let's see.
So first it will be.
That's 1.2 million.
1 million, okay. And now.
Okay, so it works. Cool.
Slightly less. It will not show because it is easy to read.
Yeah, okay, so a million seems to be the limit. Okay, next question. Will backup to Azure fix the bug when the keep alive request flag is not respected? I don't know whether I'm not sure whether you know what that means. You might have to.
Yeah, if you are asking a question like, are you going to fix a bug? the answer is obviously yes. We will fix this particular bug. If you have reported it on GitHub issues, it will definitely receive some attention.
Okay. Let me see. Someone jokingly asked that you're going to add PDF output, a PDF output template format.
First, I want to add PNG output. So just draw pictures with ClickHouse. Actually, I already do it, and you have seen it multiple times. But still, I want to have it as an output format.
And then, yeah, I don't think there's really any other specific questions. Someone says, you know, ClickHouse is fast when the founder constantly benchmarks things in the background. That'd be what you've been doing for the last hour. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all the questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening. See you next month.
And a special shout out to Mike for joining us and sharing. Mike, you'll need to check out the feedback on the stream. Things like any quote old days, this would have taken at least a month to get a simple dashboard up. Very cool. So yeah, thanks heaps for joining us. And again, a database is only as interesting as the data that's put into it and the amazing things that people build around it. So thank you for helping make ClickHouse just a little bit more interesting. We appreciate it. Keep an eye out for the release post. It'll be coming soon. It'll dive into some of these features in more detail. At the same time, we'll put up the link for the version of this for next month. Would love to see you there. Thank you so much. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Be well, everyone.